on the 27th of September in 1511, the Blessed Virgin Mary miraculously appeared in his prison cell and liberated him from prison, but not only breaking the chains of his imprisonment, but guiding him by hand over kilometres of enemy battle lines to safety to a neighbouring town of Treviso, where he was then recognised as the nobleman that he was, taken in for refuge.
Hello and welcome to a Parousia Podcast. I'm Charbel Raish, your host, and excited to not have not one, not two, but three guests today in the studio with us. They're all connected in some way to an exciting growing order in Australia, the Somascan order. Have you heard about the Somascans? If not, you're going to get to know more about them. Doing amazing work in Sydney as well, I'm familiar with, also in Perth, and growing across this region of the world. So I want to welcome, please join me in welcoming all of you. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very quickly, if I'll just go around and you just say your name and who you are. So you're a priest in the outside. So Father Chris, I know you, but just for the sake of introduction here.
Thank you, Charbel, for having us. I'm Father Chris de Souza. I am a Somascan religious order priest, and I'm presently the assistant priest in the parishes of St. Joseph Moorebank and St. Christopher Holsworthy in the Archdiocese of Sydney.
Yeah, thank you. And sister, what's your name and where are you based?
I'm Sister Minerva Creencia, Filipina sister. Came from the Philippines. And then.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And
I'm Celine Attia. I'm a parishioner / young adult at St. Joseph's Moorebank.
And the reason why you're here, because you're part of a network of the Somascan youth. So we're going to tap into that. So it's deliberate why you're here. So thank you for joining us. For those who've never heard of Somascans, I have to use this opportunity to introduce who are the Somascans. So they were founded, how long has it been around? Can we start? I'll start with you, Father.
Sure. So our founder is Saint Girolamo Miani, and he is the universal patron saint of orphans and youth in need. He was a Venetian nobleman that lived around the time of the 16th century. And effectively, at that time, the Republic of Venice was always getting invaded, and he came from a family of politicians and lawyers, and he entered the military to defend the Republic of Venice. He was taken captive by those enemies in a castle in the Republic of Venice. And it was there that he had completely experienced total abandonment. His nobility, his money, his contacts and networks couldn't get him out of that situation of being a prisoner of war. And so he reached out to what his mother had always told him to do, and that was to reach out to his heavenly mother and ask for her intercession. And he promised that if she did so, he would give his life of service to Christ and his church. And so on the 27th of September in 1511, the Blessed Virgin Mary miraculously appeared in his prison cell and liberated him from prison, but not only breaking the chains of his imprisonment, but guiding him by hand over kilometres of enemy battle lines to safety to a neighbouring town of Treviso, where he was then recognised as the nobleman that he was, taken in for refuge. And if you visit today in Treviso, the sanctuary of our Blessed Mother there, on the altar of our Blessed Mother in this basilica in Treviso, you'll find the chains of Saint Girolamo Miani still there, which he left in thanksgiving for her maternal intercession of his liberation. And then that kick-started a life of conversion from his life, sort of a giving away of his nobility and dedicating himself to meeting the needs of the church at that time, which included not only war, but there was famine, there was plague, a lot of children that were orphaned because of those situations. And he started gathering and collating these children, establishing orphanages and technical schools to uplift them in terms of education-wise. He would then go out and women that had fallen into lives, of prostitution, because of the destitute situations, establishing refuge homes for them. And then he started being invited by bishops in other parts of northern Italy to do the same. So he started establishing these, and at all times having these orphan children with him.
Wow.
And really living with these orphans, and dedicating his time, his talents, his treasures, his resources to establishing these communities throughout northern Italy. It was the time of the Protestant Reformation, and so there was that situation that many were leaving the Catholic Church. And so in addition to kind of caring for the orphan children, the destitute, he would then go out in the fields and catechize the Catholic faithful together with his orphans in a catechesis style that would help them to remain faithful to the church. And then likewise, just assisting particularly the dying of these circumstances, giving them the dignity of death and Catholic burial. And he was followed by a companion of priests and laity that helped in his works. And he established himself in Somasca, which is a town actually about an hour's north of Milan in Lombardy region.
That's where the name comes from.
That's where the names come from. Then he, after his passing on the 8th of February in 1537, he was recognised only later. This company of the servants of the poor that he called them, those fathers, those priests that followed him, particularly his strong charism of fatherhood, announcing the fatherhood of God to those abandoned by society, forgotten, marginalised, showing them that God leaves no one orphaned, and particularly the mercy of God through the countenance of Christ crucified, being there with people in their suffering. That charism of this fatherhood, the love of God the Father, lived by those first companions, was recognised by Pope Pius V, Saint Pope Pius V,
yes.
and established the Order of Clerics Regular of Somasca. So the fathers from Somasca, where the founder was buried and where he actually is still, his tomb is there in our mother house in Somasca today. And so from that point on, his charism that received the special gift of the Holy Spirit of fatherhood was then diffused throughout communities which now are present in 25 countries throughout the world, where we continue to care for orphan children, street children, those youth most in need, but then also in colleges, schools, technical institutes, homes for the sick and the dying, and also in parish ministries and youth ministries. And that same charism lived by the Somascan fathers, we also have shared with the Somascan sisters,
yes.
who are serving with the fathers in many of these countries around the world, caring for the orphaned girls and also assisting young women, following that same example of Saint Girolamo Miani throughout the world, and really demonstrating the firmness of the merciful Father, but also the tenderness. So the paternity and maternity that we find in the love of God, that's also present
Beautiful.
in our charism.
Was he a priest or a brother?
No, so this is the particularity of the Somascan founder, is that whilst a clerical order was established and also a religious institute of sisters, Saint Girolamo Miani was neither a religious brother nor a priest. He was a layman. Okay. And so that is
married?
why...
Not married?
Not married,
Not
so
married.
unmarried. And so therefore he's actually lived in a very strong Somascan movement of laity that also works in alliance with our religious institutes all throughout the world. You could say the closest to St. Girolamo Miani is our laity that work and collaborate with us, which we have one of those joining us today,
yes.
in Celine, one of our Somascan young adults who's very much involved in our apostolic works.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. That's helped me sort of get the context, and it's amazing. So 500 years we're talking about. So sister, you are based in the Philippines.
Yeah.
How long have you been part of the Somascans for?
It's almost 33 years.
33 years,
Yeah.
wow.
I entered them when I was 19 years old.
How did you come across them? Were they in your parish, or you heard about them in school, or how did you learn about the Somascans?
It was being introduced to me by our parish priest.
Okay.
He is related to one of the sisters, Somascan sister.
Okay.
It's happened that her brother died, and this parish priest of mine is their parish priest also before. And then so we go together to visit the dead brother, and I find the sister. I found the sister, Somascan sister. And then we have communication, and they invited me to attend in their search-in. So I visit their convent. And since that they are near to us, they are in Tagaytay and we are in Mendez, so it's a little bit close.
Okay. So two locations in the Philippines. How many sisters are there in total?
In the Philippines now, we are almost 41.
41 sisters, wow.
41 sisters.
Amazing. And is it growing, continuing to grow? Are young ladies joining?
It's growing.
Excellent.
But it's not growing as before, no?
Okay.
The vocation of today is a little bit harder than before.
Okay, wow. And yourself, so when did you first learn about Somascans? So
2020. So I was a parishioner at St. Joseph's, and then the Somascan order, Father Matthew and Father Chris, came to our parish right before COVID hit.
Did you notice right away a difference between, let's say,
diocesan,
the diocesan priest and then this order that's come along?
I think the biggest difference was the fact that they needed 3 people because it was a community.
Yeah.
The entire time that I was a parishioner there, it was just a diocesan, so one person for the parish.
Wow.
The biggest difference was the community.
Wow, and what a time as well. I mean, we entered into COVID and then you had a very difficult time, but to establish a community in that time, and it's thriving at the moment. And, everyone's talking about how much this parish is doing. What do you do in the parish? Is it easier to say what don't you do?
Mostly I do Miani meals. So every fortnight it's food service to the surrounding suburbs. It started out during COVID as cooked meals. So volunteers would come into the kitchen and they'd cook, and then they'd deliver that pre-cooked meal to families. And then once we came out of COVID, we saw there was more families in need.
Wow.
So right now we have about 14 families that we deliver fresh produce, so perishables and non-perishables, on a fortnightly basis.
Yeah. Wow. How do you identify the families in need? Is it people word of mouth, people sort of requesting, or
all the above?
They reach out. Okay.
All the above.
Yeah. Wow. Father, I want to talk about. So you are not from Sydney. You are actually originally from Perth.
Yes.
So you would have come across the Somascans in Perth. Correct. How did you come across them?
Similar to Celine, the Somascan fathers came to my parish.
Okay.
And again, I was able to notice a difference with these missionary Somascan fathers that I had never heard of, that had come to my parish and had really revitalised and renewed our parish life. And what was a very strong sense was their fatherhood. They were just always with us and establishing a Somascan youth ministry, and also a lot of the devotions that my family, having originally hailing from Portugal, were used to, but we never had in our parish, because the Somascan charism is lived in through 3 pillars of work, devotion, and charity. Okay. And so a lot of these devotions that my family knew back in Portugal and were sort of really lived in the parish again and revitalised it. Sort of novenas and a lot of Eucharistic adoration, perpetual adoration even, sort of consecrations, processions, sort of a lot of Marian devotion, particularly because the Somascans view Saint Girolamo Miani as our founder, but also the Blessed Virgin Mary as a co-foundress, because it was her miraculous liberation of him that brought about his conversion. Okay. So we honour the Blessed Virgin Mary as Mary, Mother of Orphans, on the 27th of September, which was the day she liberated him from prison.
Okay. Wow.
And so we have 2 solemnities. The 8th of February, the death of Saint Girolamo Miani, and then the 27th of September. And so we celebrate particularly sort of Marian feast days very grandly. And we would consider ourselves a Marian order because we have this strong devotion to our co-foundress.
Wow. Oh. Sister, what does it look like? So with those charisms, what's a typical day in the life of the religious, with your prayer life and mission work? Could you give us an idea what it looks like for you?
Well, in the Philippines, we are working much with the children, with the abandoned, or those who don't have enough income to support their children. No, but it's not really. They have contact with their family.
Okay.
We don't remove that. And then if they are already ready to get their children with us, they are free to get their children if they can stand.
Okay.
So yeah, it's with the children, no, yung that they are abandoned, they don't experience their love like us, no. Every time that when I know Somascans and I saw how they take care of the abandoned one,
Yes.
really it's touched me, and I said, I'm so lucky because I have this father and mother, even grandmother and grandfather that took me so well, no. And then here we are, children that not even experience the love of mother or the love of the father. But it's really something that I need to get it back.
Yes.
The experience that I have, I need to share with them because it's a gift that I have, and I should pass it to them.
Wow.
It's very touching when I assigned first in Las Piñas, because we have 3 orphanages then, the school age and the baby. And during my time, it is a little bit more than 10, no, it's 15 babies.
Wow.
They are in the crib.
Huh.
And when they were crying, the first night that I was assigned then, I don't memorize their voice. And then when I saw the sisters, they just immediately get the bottle and they know that it is belong to that baby. No, it's so amazing that they really memorize the voice of the babies.
Yes.
And then when we are already practicing that, we assign that before our final bound, and then it's really from your heart, no, that you memorize them.
Yes,
And
yes.
the first night that I have, the children is already aware. No, that bottle is not for her. It's for her. So it seems that it's really amazing.
Wow.
To experience that. And then my brother, no, he said, "Oh, you will enter in that congregation to be, you will never have a child." And I said, when I go farther, no, it's not. Because we have always child. We have always
Yes.
children with us.
Yeah, more children than most natural mothers could have.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
yes. And that's what Saint Jerome brought in my life.
Wow.
It's really the fatherly care that he has in his children.
So you bring in the children, these abandoned children, children who are not able to be supported by their family. Would they stay there for a certain period of time, and then do they get educated? They grow up, and then they go out to the world.
That's exactly,
What's that look like?
It's look like that. Especially now, the government is a little bit strict with the children on policies. So they are passing to the social worker.
Okay.
And each municipality, they have social worker. And every time that they found children that being abandoned or there's no attention at all, so they come to us. And if we can take care of them, so then mostly we are accepting 5 years old up, or even babies, no? And then they grow up with us. The family continue, they can visit anytime if they want to, if they have free. And then they grew up, they studied. And then if they arrive to the point that they can stand by themselves, they can leave the institution and they can, if they have already worked and established their life, no? Or if the parents or any relative can protect them already, provide all the necessary things that they must have. So we allow them we entrust them again.
Yeah.
And one experience that I have in Sorsogon, it's a good family and they are really very close. Even though they are poor, they don't want to let go the children in some far plus like orphanages, no? But the father was being imprisoned. And when we investigate what happened to the father, what's the case, what is the chance for him to get out from that prison, and it's a very minimal case that only they need somebody to to own that case is guarantee. No guarantee if ever he will go out, if somebody can stand for him, even if he cannot go to the hearing, his continuous hearing, there is somebody who will answer. So maybe if he will not go, he will lost along the way, we will be the one in prison. No? And then I said, when I studied the behavior of the father, the attitude, it's a good father. And I said, I took the responsibility. I said, I can be the guarantee for this father so that he can go home, he can work with his family, and these children of us can go home and they can get together, even though they are poor. And then we talk some friends of us who can relate to those so that he can have job, good job, no? And so they are friends, and this lady of us talk to this person who can find a job for that man. And so, so these children, they were 3, no? So they went home with a family, even though they are poor, but they are together, and the father has worked because of our friends.
Wow, thank God. Is there a maximum amount of children per convent, or so are you sort of over 2-3 locations and the children are with you, or are these places, orphanages, separate to where you live?
Yeah, we are
together.
Yeah, we are together.
Okay.
How many
children would you be caring for?
We
at any one
can
time?
cater 25 children.
25, wow.
Because for one social worker,
Yeah.
is 25 children.
Wow, okay.
So we can, maybe in the future, we can handle more than
Yes,
if we can have 2 or more social workers.
Yeah, wow. Thank you. Celine? Yes. So I'm impressed with the amount of activity in the parish there. And there's also things that the Somascan youth that you get up to too, like evangelizing. I've noticed Rosary on the Beach. I noticed some going out to there. And can you tell us a little bit about some of these things? So, just top of your head, what are some of the activities happening in the parish? And obviously this has all happened after the Somascans have come to the parish. So can you give us an idea of what's going on there?
Sure. So on a weekly basis, we have our young adult program every Tuesday night at 7:30. So that's where Father Chris or sometimes Father Sheldon we go through a 4-week cycle. So it's Lectio Divina, Catechesis, Devotion, and Mission. Wow. And that's from maybe year 11, 12 up.
Okay.
And then Saturday nights, we have the young adults who run the youth nights for kindergarten up until about year 10.
Oh, wow.
So that's
Saturday evening.
Saturday evening. After the 5 p.m. Mass, we have dinner together at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then we start the lesson around 6:30, finish at 7:30. Wow. And that's every week.
Wow. Families would typically come with the kids. Like the young people, the parents would bring the kids to that, and well, it's great. You've been doing this. Okay, what else is there?
We just recently launched the family night.
Okay.
So every month we have a family night now. So we have men's ministry, women's ministry running at the same time as the kindy to year 10. So all ages are welcome.
Is that on the same day, the Saturday, or is that a different day?
Third Saturday?
Yes,
third Saturday.
Very good, putting on the spot, that's all right.
Third Saturday of every month.
Wow.
So in December we're doing carols, but then officially the men's and women's ministry launches in January.
Wow, every month. So there'll be 12 gatherings.
Essentially, yeah 12 gatherings.
So 12 chances the men come together.
Women come together.
And then the young people, and it's broken up into
age
groups?
Yeah, so kindergarten to year 2, then year 3 to year 4, year 5 and year 6, and then the high school.
Wow.
And the young adults are teaching the kindergarten to year 10.
Now there's also is there also
marriage enrichment? There's
what's that?
Marriage enrichment, so father chooses about 12 couples, 10 to 12 couples, and they go on a 7-week cycle on Wednesday evenings. Watching videos. It's basically a date night.
Wow,
okay. And they have some activities, a book resource that they go through, some wine and cheese.
Very nice.
Make it enticing.
Wow,
Yeah.
Fantastic. And so it's a 6-week program, and then will that happen again?
So
directly after a new group of couples?
Not directly after, because
have a break.
Have a bit of a break, yeah.
So you might do.
So I think we've done 3 or 4 sessions.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Take note, and I'm looking at you, camera. Parishes. This is this is what really inspired me. It's not just the youth group and then we forget about them and then they grow up and then they're not youth anymore and then there's nothing else. We've got married couples, we've got men's and women's ministry. I'm very impressed, and I think if every parish did that, our church would be a better place. Our churches would be thriving. You don't stop there though, Father. You're busy yourself. So you're one of the presenters of these. Are you in all the groups in some capacity?
So yeah, I guess we follow the example of Saint Miani, where the father was always with his children. So
Yes.
There was even an instance in his life where he was with his orphan children, and a nobleman that recognised him was happy to give him hospitality, but only for him, and not the street children with him. And he's famously quoted as saying, "It's with these brothers of mine that I wish to live and die. And so unless you give hospitality for all of us, then it's for none of us." So really. And he, these first companions would speak of him just following the most smallest orphan, leading behind them. And so we follow that same example. So we, whether it's devotions in the church or giving the talks or being with youth ministry or with the families, the visitations to the homes, patching in where we can see we can support the parents of these families, whether with our ministry programs in the parishes or more personalised attention in the homes. We endeavour to do that. The Somascan fathers and the sisters. I mean, this charism came about during the time of Reformation, and so many of these orders and institutes at that time was to counter the Protestant Reformation, was seeking to reform the church back to the holiness of the time of the apostles, but from within the church, not outside. Yes. And so there's that overarching umbrella of we need to form apostles of today. And so that's what we seek to do with our young adults, and then their mission is with our younger ones, our parents, with the families, all together, so that we form communities of apostles to then go out and extend the kingdom, which we're celebrating this Sunday with the Solemnity of Christ the King.
Yes, that's right. Beautiful. That is such an important area. We forget sometimes. We need to be helping the poor, absolutely. And it's the Somascans do a wonderful job there. But you don't just stop helping the physical needs. There's also the spiritual needs, and that's an area we forget about sometimes. And then there's those who may only focus on those spiritual needs, and then we forget about the corporal works of mercy. And so it's there. Really is a package deal, isn't it?
Care and catechesis is what really marked St. Girolamo Miani. He cared and he catechized.
Yes.
Because the view was to form apostles, even while that person was suffering a particular need at that time.
And I love that it's also focusing in on families too, and the idea of that. Could you touch on that? The imagery here, you're not just helping an individual, but you're helping them, their families. Did you want to comment on that, sister? Like the idea of helping this child, but you're not just helping the child, you're also helping the family. And what have you seen? Have you seen conversions? Have you seen, I'm just interested to see the transformation in the child and then the siblings. Anything you can point to?
When they are having their vacation, at least once a month, they have to integrate to some family that they have. And they said when the children return, they used to pray. And they will say to the parent, to the one who are companion there in the house, they will tell, wait, let us pray first before we eat. And so like that, and they invite to go to the mass in Sunday. The sister is always going to the mass. We should go also to the mass. So then, the sister said we have to dress a little bit formal, disando and sure. It's like that, And
so leading by example, and they learn the way you live. And they start
praying rosary.
Wow. What does it look like? So let's look at the spiritual side, just to give people an idea. What is prayer life like for the nuns, the sisters? Do you divine office, mass every day, rosary? What does that look like? What does a typical day look like with your prayers? What's the prayer life like?
I like, because when you are already in the community of praying people, you will always miss to prayer. Mm-hmm. It's not only the communitarian prayer itself, that is given. It's even though you don't enter the congregation, even lay people can pray the morning prayer, the breviary, and the rosaries and the adoration. Even I can see the parish of Father. It's so active and a little bit, parang it's so elevating the adoration of Father. No? But as a religious life, parang you will try to find more prayer. Yeah, within more intimate prayer than the usual that we are doing in the community. Okay. It's a little bit more personal, especially when you are struggling a little bit harder. But you don't have any source than to run to Him. So since that, and even you are with the children or you're in the apostolate, others outside with the community, parang you must be always in touch with Him. Because if not, you will lose along the way. There's a lot of temptation somehow, when you are doing the work of God.
Yes.
So I said, oh, really? And the one that I read, the nearest that you can be with Him is He's getting bigger and bigger and bigger when you are getting nearer and nearer. It's not like the airplane that you see; it's very small. But when you go to the airport, you will say, "Oh, it's so big."
Yes, that's
so that's the relationship that I want to.
Wow, beautiful. Wow. Has your prayer life changed since all this activity? So you can be busy with activities, right? So helping the poor is a very good thing. It's an important thing. Everyone should be doing that. And then catechizing is also very important, forming, teaching. What about the spiritual side? Can you touch on that? What happened in the prayer life of the parish? What sort of activities have you noticed, and has that impacted you personally?
Well, I can say that I never spent a single minute in adoration, didn't even know what that was before Somascans. The Somascans, they do just at St. Joseph's, Monday to Friday, 1 hour of adoration from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Before Mass. And then they also do evening Mass at St. Joseph's. And then on Thursday, there's adoration from 6:30 to 7:30. And during all hours of adoration, there's the opportunity for confession.
Oh, beautiful.
Then there's the Saturday all-day adoration right after the 9:15 Mass. So from about 10 o'clock to 4:45, we have adoration.
Wow.
And about 45 minutes opportunity for confession after Mass and 45 minutes before Mass as well. And they've just, they do a lot. There's the Rosary as well in the month of May.
Okay, yeah. Every day?
Every day after Mass.
After Mass, okay.
After Mass. Sometimes it's led by families. Wow. Yeah, during COVID even, they recorded it and uploaded it every day.
Is it the church open during the week as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And are you finding young people are going to adoration?
Yeah, it's mostly.
We're not talking about just old people.
No, it's mostly young people.
Wow.
Mostly.
Young people.
You'll find that even at daily Mass, you'll find at least 3 to 4 young people at morning Mass, and then double, triple that at evening Mass.
Wow. And then Sunday Mass, then everything you just described is outside of Sunday. We haven't even talked about Sunday. So most parish life happens only on Sunday. No. This is what's impressing me. It's the week, every day. That's
every
what I
day.
love. So then how has Sunday been, I guess, enriched or enhanced? Have you noticed a difference on a Sunday?
It's busier.
Yeah.
It's a very full church now because the fathers, they're in charge of both St. Joseph's Moorbank and St. Christopher's Holsworthy. So they're both
two churches under one parish, okay.
They're both under one parish. So at any given time, I think we have 4 Sunday Masses at St. Joseph's and 3 Sunday Masses at St. Christopher's.
Okay. So yeah.
And that's not including the vigil on the Saturday evening.
Wow. Okay. You're busy. Father, you're busy. No wonder you need more than one priest there. You need 3. And now it's great to have Father Sheldon now, recently ordained.
Yes, just in June.
3 ordained priests.
Yes.
Are they full-time?
Yes.
So how does that work with all that commitment? Do you sort of rotate? Do you sort of have a roster between you week to week, or does that change, or do you mix it up?
Yes, we do have a rotation in terms of the parishes, so that basically the parishioners will see us at least like every 3 weeks. So for that particular Mass they might go to, they'll and we'll have that personal touch with them. prior to Father Sheldon ordained, it was Father Matthew and I, sort of just alternating between the two. And now with this extra dynamic of having a third priest. We also have a public benevolent institution, Somascan Missions, that provides sort of free legal and advocacy services, counselling services, as well as our meal services, and then awareness of our orphanages and our apostolate works around the world, which has a team working there. And it also encompasses, not just for the financially disadvantaged in the area, migrants and refugees, but also advocacy for young men that are in prison. And so we're now branching into that apostolate that really seeks to help to reform these young men, to reintegrate them into society. We have a really high reoffending rate in New South Wales. Our prisons are overburdened by reoffenders, and our New South Wales government having to spend $3.8 billion to just add more cells to our prisons. So looking to work towards constructing an Emiliani House of Renewal, where we would invite these young men, whether through the Department of Justice to have an early release of their sentence, or if they're reoffending, to be entrusted to the Somascans' care, and to live as a community that life through work, devotion and charity.
Wow.
To help bring about reformation and reintegration back into society. A lot of them have been abandoned by their families because they've been in prison, unable to find work, and they unfortunately feel that they belong in prison. So we try to seek a way in which we can have them a sense of belonging with a family, with a father figure, with brothers, and to be able to, through care and catechesis, really bring about their conversion.
That's incredible. That's amazing. Can I touch on, now, first of all, congratulations. This is so impressive to see, like every day there's some activity, the prayer, adoration, to have the young people, confession as well. Normally, parishes, if you're lucky, might have a 30-minute window on a Saturday morning. If anyone turns up and that's your opportunity, you miss it, and that's the... So to promote that, do you find by offering more times of confession, are people taking advantage of that opportunity?
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll always sort of have faithful come, and they can see that we have those confession times available, that a father's there, and there's more willingness to sort of make appointments with us outside for extended spiritual direction and further guidance, because there's been that frequency with us as confessors. It's
outside of parish life, you also go to visit parishioners. So outside, so those, you're not only seeing your parishioners on Sunday Mass, you're seeing them during the week at the parish, but you also go to their homes.
Yes.
How does that work? What are you doing? Are you just sort of inviting yourself? Do you just pop up at a parish? How does that work? What are you doing there?
Generally there tend to be families that are either they've come to be part of our various ministries, or it's been brought to our attention that there might be some issues or problems, or we can assist in helping to complement the parents in that family. Many of them, wish to sort of, either just to go and pray with them. We've got rosaries every day happening in the church, but even just to go and pray the rosary with them in their home. Many of them really tune up to the enthronement of the family to the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. We run our First Friday devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, First Saturday devotion to the parish, but then bringing that to the family homes as well, and enthroning the families to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and really helping to bring, through these consecrations and devotions and novenas and prayer, moments of prayer, a greater spiritual life in the home. So it's not just you come to church and pray, but daily prayer life is taking place in the home. Daily rosaries happening in the homes. As Celine mentioned, we invite the families, in the month of May and October, to pray the rosary in the evenings in the church, but then also they continue it then throughout the whole year as family rosaries. Excellent. So really patching in, and the formation that we give to our young adults or to our youth and everything, we plant the seed, but then it's for them to then develop that further at home in their own time. So as Sister was saying, there's the community prayer life, but it's to springboard your personal prayer life. And so we hope that by developing and deepening and extending this community, we then help all of these lives develop their own personal prayer lives, and their personal relationships as with the Lord and as an apostle of the Lord.
I can imagine it must be great for a priest from the parish to come to someone's home and getting to know them in a different environment, in their own home. Does you build friendships, you are family.
Yes.
And possibly are there, many families, not everyone goes to church, so imagine you pick up some of those fallen away who are like, oh, Father's here.
Yeah, there's the son
you get to invite him over.
Always gaming in his room, and you get to see him. So through house blessings and consecrations,
yes.
you have that first entry point, and then you can strike up a relation. And then you can bring them around. Oh, you should come to our Tuesday night talk.
Wow.
So you should come visit us here, and we can really then strike up to really help to bring about all members of the family.
That's so good. Wow. Oh, it's bringing back memories. I mean, I know myself, coming back to the faith, it was a retired priest who was available, and we used to have lunch together. He was the priest that gave me the first Scott Hahn cassette. So, and he's also Father Chris, but he's passed away now. And I remember seeing that, why was I so close to him is because he had time. I could go in and have confession anytime. I could get a blessing. I could join him, in his private chapel for Mass. We go and we pray, we recreate. He comes to our family parties and things like that, and you become friends. And so it's something powerful about outside of the normal Sunday Mass to connect with the priest. Sister, is it the same for the nuns? So do you go out to homes? How do the sisters? You've got the children that come to you, but do many sisters go out as well? And what does that look like?
Yeah, it look like that. If some friends of us, they got sick and they have also some problems in their family, we used to visit them also.
Okay, yeah, wow.
Wow,
it's powerful to be able to connect with them in their environment and going to them. It's almost like if you don't come to church, we'll bring church to you. And then they feel, wow, okay, I'm drawn in. Oh, that's beautiful. And I wanted to ask, I haven't talked about the other activities outside of the parish. So I touched on the rosary at the beach. What's that about? Is that often?
So that started in Perth, actually at Coogee. We continued it at Coogee in Sydney. Coogee in Perth. That's Coogee in Sydney. So every Easter Monday, we just go pray the rosary around Coogee Beach.
Wow.
At the same time that they're doing it in Perth, so it's coast to coast at Coogee.
Okay. Wow.
And then we just go, we have lunch, maybe some people swim,
Fantastic.
play some cricket.
Now there are also, I've learned that are there like retreat days or you go visit like a little pilgrimage at a shrine somewhere?
So usually the 28th of December, the Feast of Holy Innocents. We visited the Shrine of Holy Innocents one year, and then Penrose Park a couple of years. Again, we just drove up early in the morning, just do a rosary, and then everyone brought food, picnic, some sports.
Wow, wow. Anything else I've missed? Is there anything else that the two I know of? Is there anything else you going out to the poor, of course, but anything else with the youth? It's quite a lot already.
No, not like retreats. No, not really.
Okay. Wow. Well, I just want to touch, Father, the importance of this. So, how has you were drawn to the Somascan life? Thank God you've said yes to that. How many years a priest have you now?
I'm almost 5 years, and almost
wow.
10 years as a religious.
Wow. Is it similar formation to a diocesan priest? Is it 7 years in the seminary?
It's normally 12 years.
It's 12.
Yeah,
so
12 years of formation. But I was a bit of a later vocation, so that those initial years of human formation was already sort of taken care of. So I was ordained in my 8th year of formation.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow. Wow.
So a few years chipped off.
Wow. Just the importance now of the fruits of what you're seeing. So we're helping the poor. You're offering prayer. You're making available prayer, the sacraments, Mass, confession. You've got formation. Just the importance of going out to the home, but then having all this activity in the parish to have them to invite people to. If we don't have that activity, you've got nothing to invite them to. And for so long, I think, where have we gone wrong? We have, and we dwell on it, but we don't have to dwell on it. There's a solution of the declining church. We're declining in numbers, declining in mass attendance. The average age is going up. if we were to hone in on, say, your community, it's the opposite. It's growing. The young people are growing. Families are coming. So if that happens there on a micro scale, how do we make that happen wider? I guess just from your own experience, you can only speak from what you're seeing. Advice or what you're seeing works for other parishes. What could you see? What is the secret to all this? What's going on? I think I've got a lot of opinions about this. Is amazing. I wish every parish did it, but just from on the inside, the fruits of it. If there was one place to start, say a priest is watching now, and they're saying, "Look, no one's coming to church," and they said that's the culture. It's going down that way. What would be the first thing you would say to a priest to do in his parish if he's just doing Sunday Mass? Where would you start?
You need to spend more time with your children.
Yeah.
So you need to be their father, not just in terms of the spiritual sense, but also physically accompaniment their time there. And so those visits can't just be one-off visits on a rotation. To generate that sense of belonging of a family, there needs to be a family that they come to. Yeah. So personal invitation works. We've got this happening.
Yes.
Please come. I would love to, I've missed you. You weren't there. Or
yes.
Do you know what I mean? And really keeping those connections going. So having things, but not so much centered on the programs, but just having that ability to be able to come together for prayer, and also to say what our Lord Jesus Christ would say to those in need. What is it that I can do for you?
Yes, yes.
And then hear what their needs are and address them, obviously with Christ, with Christ and with the sort of devotion to our Blessed Mother and to the saints, and help them realize that they're not alone in this. That they have the Holy Mother Church, they have our Lord, they have our Blessed Mother, all the angels and saints. They've got all of these holy people that are willing to serve them. And so you tell us what you need, and we'll address it with the graces and blessings and that God provides us in these different areas. And it's effectively just directing them to where their needs can be met, which ultimately is Christ.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, there's a whole show just on this. Sister, can I ask, so the nuns are in the Philippines. They're also the fathers or brothers. Are there more than one over there? Like how many of the fathers are there, Somascan fathers in the Philippines, roughly?
Somascan, let's say less than 100.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So there are more fathers than
the sisters. Okay. Yeah, they have more houses than us.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, they are more active.
Okay.
Yeah, the priests are always going ahead of us.
Oh, mate. So did they start first? Do you know how long in the Philippines the Somascans have been there?
The priest there is, I think, if we are almost about 50, I think 60, 75 like this.
Okay, and do you have much to do with them? Do you do much together?
Yeah, in an orphanage. You are always, especially there in Sorsogon, in Region 5, our institution are almost close together. So we cater the little ones. Mm-hmm. And if we have girls, it's for us, and boys, it's for them.
Okay.
But the little ones, we always take care because they
Yeah,
cannot take care of the little ones. They want to get little ones, but they need to bring to us.
Yeah, fair enough. And all those activities we described, is that happening in the Philippines? So Bible studies, catechesis,
yes.
Is that also happening in the...
Yes, our fathers there are also active in that. Wow. At least it is the spirit of Saint Jerome, radiate to all the Somascan fathers.
Wow. This is... I'm inspired. This is exciting. This is great. And I hope people are watching and are being inspired here. And your testimony here, you didn't even know who they were a few years ago. They've come into your parish, and all of a sudden, you're like one of them. How does that happen? So I know fathers ordained, sisters consecrated. It's the Somascan youth. Are you like a third order? You make some sort of promise or vow, or you just sort of volunteering your time?
Volunteering your time.
Yeah.
Like in 2020, fathers like, come, we have young adults. It was the first meeting, there was 8 of us.
Okay.
And now we average 30 people on a youth night.
Regularly.
Regularly, and it's not always the same people.
Wow. Now, the youth come together, and I've noticed the last few years, and and Parousia has been blessed to be part of it, this big fundraiser, the dinner dance. Can you tell us about it? There's one coming up.
There's one coming up February 2nd.
February 2nd?
February 2nd.
2024?
2024, yeah.
Okay, and where's that being held?
In Paradiso in Liverpool.
Okay, great. How do people get tickets?
Ticket sales are through online, so Instagram, Somascan Movement Australia, there's a link.
Somascan Movement Australia, okay.
Instagram, Facebook.
And Facebook,
Yep.
okay, great. So it's both social media, it's not the website or the parish website? It's
No, yep.
Okay, fantastic. And you can buy a single ticket or a table?
A single ticket for 120 or a table of 10 for 110 per ticket. So you end up saving.
And this is a fundraiser not for the parish?
No, so all
Where's
funds go directly to our apostolates in Sri Lanka, Mozambique and India.
Wow.
Celine was able to visit our communities in Sri Lanka.
What was
earlier
that like?
this year.
Indescribable. Yes. Father took me and two others to our community in February of this year, where we met the Somascan sisters for the first time as well. We hung out in the orphanages. It's very different, but because they deal with the physically poor,
Yes.
we deal with the spiritually poor, but you can see where the fathers have tried to live out the charism as best as they could in the parish life.
Yes, wow. How many, just as we're wrapping up here, we're coming to the end, but how many countries are the Somascans? Do you know that? Would you know where you're present? Is that something you can tell us?
25 countries. around the
25
world.
right now?
Across 5 continents.
Do you know roughly how many around the world? Fathers?
Fathers, about 500.
Sisters? Do we know, sister, how many?
We have less than 200.
About 200, okay.
And
then
what about youth? Much larger Somascan movement. Yeah. So it's we're fewer. The movement is much.
The majority are lay people.
Majority of lay people around the world. Yeah.
So there's no third order. So just to clarify that, you don't make a vow or promise as a lay person. You just get involved. Okay. Wow. Is there just in a spirituality? So you're helping. So can we just sum up again, just for those to clarify? You help the poor. And that's is that the charity side?
Mm-hmm.
You've got catechesis and formation. Is that part of? That's part of your 3 arms.
Yeah, the devotion.
The devotions, your prayer life as well.
Mm-hmm.
Third part.
It's work.
Yeah. So, example of that
would be being involved in sort of meeting the needs of and just sort of working. Because everyone playing their part, because we're sort of making the burden lighter.
Yes,
as we follow the motto of the Somascan order, Honest Mem Leve, my burden is life, from St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11, verse 30, that we try to alleviate. Sometimes we can't take away the suffering of the people, we can alleviate the suffering by helping to make the burden lighter.
Yes.
And rolling up our sleeves and working to help them carrying the yoke.
Fantastic. Is there a seminary, or where did you get your formation? Did you have to go overseas?
Yes, initial formation, aspirancy and postulancy in Australia, and then transferred to Somasca for novitiate, and then down to Rome for the studies towards the priesthood. We presently have two young men from Sydney, Matthew Frio and Michael Yetzi, who are currently novices in Somasca. So please do keep them in your prayers for their novitiate, and God willing they profess their vows. And
so all the other countries around the world will come to Italy?
No, each province has their own formation houses and novitiate houses. It's just we don't have a novitiate house in Australia.
Not yet.
Next year we've only been here 20 years, and so during this time, any vocations from Australia, they've sent us to Somasca for that formation.
So God willing, one day we might have one here.
Pray for that, God.
Oh, absolutely. And sister, what about where did you where you are living now? Is that where you did your studies, or did you have to go off somewhere else and then come back?
Yeah, they're in the Philippines, staying now in Asia. We are the center of formation.
Okay.
We have some vocation in Indonesia.
Oh yes, wow.
I think the majority of the vocation came from Indonesia, so they come to us in the Philippines, in Tagaytay exactly. And now we have one candidate from Sri Lanka.
Oh wow, okay.
So
And how and vocations, hopefully, we hope to grow. If a young lady wants to become a sister, where do they go? What do they do? What do you recommend for discernment, and if they wanted to know more, to follow your path?
yeah, they just listen to their heart, no, and come get closer to the sisters, to the church, to the priest, who can direct them to the right path if they what vocation they want to be, and the mission that they have in life. No, I think they need to give more time for themselves.
Yeah.
Na pray more, silence, and yeah, talk to those wisdom person,
Yes.
wisdom enough to guide them.
Yeah.
Because our life is too short. No?
Yeah. Amen. That's true. Is there a website about the Somascans that people can go to that we could point people to? So globally, is there like a?
There's many, yeah.
Oh, so
I guess for Australia it's somascan.org.au.
Somascans.org.au. Okay.
Which would also speak about more in terms of the Somascans around the
Okay.
world. But
For those who want to know more, if there's a young man, same sort of thing. Where would you recommend they start on their journey if they want to know more about this religious order?
there's the various social media, but also just come and see us. We're at St. Joseph Moorebank and St. Christopher Holsworthy.
Fantastic.
They can come and have an experience with us or be involved in our various ministries, and the Lord will speak to their heart.
Amen. And what about in Perth? What's the parish there? Those in Perth?
We have a number of parishes. So St. Jerome in Spearwood, Our Lady of Lourdes in Rockingham, and St. Patrick's in York. That then has a few substations because it's out in the regional area of Western Australia.
Oh, there you go.
A mission parish.
So we've got the west and the east side of the country. God willing, we've got north and south as well. So we'll pray. And just finally, just your faith journey since the Somascans come in. What does it mean to you now? I mean, going to church before, you go to church, but now you said you've discovered adoration. You're now active. You're one of the leaders and doing things for the young people. How has that, I guess, deepened your own prayer life, your own spiritual life? Like, what's the faith mean to you now? Does it mean more now than it did before the Somascans came in your life?
Definitely.
Yes.
I just used to go to Sunday Mass because my mum made me.
And now?
Daily Mass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So for other young people out there watching, is there any bit of advice you could give them from what you've learned over the last few years? And where would they start? If they're doubting, say, I just go to church because mum and dad make me, what would you say to them?
You never know enough. When you think you know everything, you actually don't. So Tuesday night youth, I learnt how little I actually knew about anything and everything. And I still don't know anything about everything. So just keep learning, and whenever you have a question, just ask.
Yeah, very good. And the more you're learning, is that helping you appreciate, I guess, the faith in general?
Yeah, the more you're learning as well, and also because I teach the year 5 and 6 right now, trying to simplify it into words for them gets you to understand it even more. So as you're learning and then you're teaching, you're actually learning more.
That's true.
Yeah.
Amen. I agree with that. I love this. This is very close to home with Parousia. I mean, we exist to not only evangelize, but to form and teach the faith. And it's wonderful to hear a religious order doing that. So leading by example, but both the corporate works of mercy, the spiritual works of mercy, and understanding we never forget that formation is critical, catechesis and formation as well. It's all a package deal, isn't it?
It is. And thank you so much for Parousia Media's close collaboration with the Somascans throughout these years as well. We're very grateful.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for coming. We're praying for you. Please pray for us.
Yes.
Anyone, just any final thoughts or any just words of encouragement? Anyone want to have the final say? If you had one thing to say to encourage people in today's culture right now, what would it be? Putting you on the spot here.
It's in increasing our knowledge of God, our Lord, and that's the only way we're going to be able to then obviously increase our love for Him and then increase our service for Him. So it's sort of, what our faith teaches us. I mean, we go through that, and we'll naturally find that we progress more and more in love with the Lord and willing to serve Him because we keep increasing our knowledge of Him and especially through all the resources that's available through the media as well.
Praise God. Sister, any final words?
Just always find God in everything that we're doing, the little work that we can make people happy.
Yeah, beautiful. Any final just words?
Not really. Just don't stay lukewarm. If you have something that just sparks even the slightest interest, just look into it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, well said. Thank you so much. The dinner dance coming up. Let's get on social media. So
Somascan Movement Australia, either Instagram or
we'll
Facebook.
Put the links in. Awesome. Thank you so much again. Thank you, everyone. I hope you got a lot out of that and are inspired. I'm certainly inspired and rejuvenated. Please pray for the order in as a whole, internationally, locally in Australia. Check out the parishes if you are in Sydney and in Perth, and those in the Philippines. Please go visit as well. That's another podcast. We'll put all the links below. Please pray for this podcast and spread it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the bell so you get the notifications and spread it. We've reached over 2 million views now. Thank you to you and over 20,000 subscribers. But I want to increase the subscriptions. I want people to now utilize this and give this to family and friends. It's all free and there's over 1,000 videos now. Please utilize this, take advantage and invite people into the faith. I'm Charbel Raish, your host. Thanks again. Until next time, God bless.